With principal and teacher buy-in and support, we just hear this again and again, that really implementation almost comes to a standstill if you don't have the support from the school principal. So I think as you're planning and going into things, if there is a principal who you know is open and more sort of educated in terms of socio-emotional programs and their impact on learning, that's probably a good place. That's probably a good person to partner with for success. It doesn't mean it can't be done. It just means you have more work to do if you're dealing with a principal who's not yet on board. So that's what I would say here. We definitely hear that again and again, and really it's because if you have the administrator on board, they really have the power to help you overcome some of these other potential barriers that we're talking about. Obviously, it trickles down, and if the principals and administrators are on board, teachers are more willing to allow students to then leave their class if that's the case. Or parents may be more willing to participate, knowing that the principal is really backing this program. They also can help solve the numerous logistical problems, space, getting a door opened, making sure that the painting schedule of one building in the school isn't going to impact your ability to run groups, all of those various things. And also, again, we're looking for this sort of idea of the whole child and teaching the whole child and the importance of both physically and emotionally and mentally healthy students. As Marleen alluded to, this is the most successful when you can speak in a language that is important to who you're speaking to. So when we're talking to principals and administrators, they really want to know, what am I going to get out of this? How is this going to help the students that I'm dealing with every day? And so speaking in terms of how these programs may impact attendance, tardies, obviously test scores and academic performance or GPA. Also, is this going to mean that I get fewer kids coming to me on disciplinary referrals? Teachers want to know, could this help my students be less distracted and more focused? Maybe they'll be more independent in the classroom when they have some of their own coping strategies, etc. So again, trying to think about, I don't want to say sell it to them, but really speak about it in terms of how it could impact things that are relevant to educators. Briefly about outcome measures, there's nothing that speaks better to an administrator or a teacher as once you've actually run a group in that school, being able to go back to them and say, look, here are the youth that we served, and this is how they changed, not only in terms of symptoms, but in terms of their functioning, academically, socially, etc. So being able to collect data gives you a lot of, I think, leeway down the road to be able to come back and say, look, it's not just that this program has worked in other places, but here's what we've seen in your own school. In reference to competing responsibilities, as you create your plan, it is really significant to try to recognize that you have enough time to do the programs that you're wanting to implement. And so really thinking through how much time do these specific programs entail, and do I have the staff for it, and do they have enough time for it? And there's going to be some site-specific circumstances that need to be thought through, or that I would encourage you to. For example, if you're co-locating from an agency or an organization into a school, taking into account the time of transportation. Also, depending on whether the implementers are going to be from a community organization co-locating into schools or on the school's campus themselves, you do have to think about this idea of competing responsibilities and making sure that, whether they're in an agency or a school, they can have multiple duties. And so if they're in an agency, then their administrator needs to be sure that they have enough time and that other duties are minimized such that this program is going to work into their schedule. And there's nothing worse than having an overburdened clinician. It's not going to help the youth, and I think making sure you're planning for that in advance is key. And that also would go as if you have a school-based partner who will be assisting, then you need to be able to speak with their administrator and make sure that they have adequate time for successful implementation. We all sort of know that what the school environment can be like. And again, thinking about planning for success, thinking through space, all of this in advance, talking with the schools about all of these issues before you need them to happen. Doesn't mean you won't get some wrenches thrown into the plan, but the more we can do in advance, the better off. So thinking about how much room you need, Is there any way to get the privacy issue around rooms depending on the type of program that you're implementing? Is it helpful to have the same space each week if that's possible? Try to go for the best and then take what you can. But, knowing that these are issues and having these discussions in advance, I think, can be very helpful, letting them know once they're bought in, okay, this is what we need for success. Also time, is the program that you've selected really going to fit into the schedule, the way that this school is set up? And when should we be holding the program? What's going to work best for this community? Is after-school programming an option? Does it work better to pull them out of electives? Does it work better to pull them out at a different time each week so that they're never missing the same content, et cetera? And I really encourage you to map the program out for the whole school year, both for yourselves and for the school, to see how everything is going to fit in, given the fact that the school calendar can be difficult. You've got testing and you've got vacations and field trips and assemblies and school performances that sort of pop up at the last minute. So doing your best to really plan the whole thing out and make sure it's going to fit in a way that works for the schools. The other thing is thinking about students and accessing students, and there's a lot that goes on here. How you're going to serve the students, who you're trying to target. Are you working by grade or by classroom? Will kids be pulled out? I'm telling you, one of the best things is learning how students can be summoned for your groups. This is just a huge logistical issue. Oftentimes when I hear clinicians talking about how it's difficult to get kids to come in for their individual session or for their group work, it's because it's tough to get them out of class and get them there in time enough for you to be able to go through all of the content that you have planned. So I found these sort of little tricks along the way, and one is really getting to know whoever that person is in the office. So we talk about administrators and teachers, but someone in the office who's going to help you get these kids out of class is a really important person to have on your side and to maintain a positive relationship with, because they're really helpful. Also, someone in facilities or a janitor who can open a door for you that's locked when it's supposed to be open for you, etc. With summons, one thing that I found successful is to try to get them out of class, so send their slips at the end of the period before you want them. So they're getting out right when everyone's packing up anyway, and they come straight to you. It's tough once they're checking in to then get them out of class at times. So again, these are just sort of tales from the trenches, I guess. There are different models for service delivery within schools. Some schools employ mental health professionals. Others have mental health agencies or community organizations where people co-locate, and sometimes they partner together and have a little bit of both. We have found that there's been a lot of success across the country when there is a community organization or mental health agency who is partnering with someone on the school campus. And this happens for a number of reasons. Oftentimes the school-based clinicians or staff are saying, it's so nice because the agency partner can help do things that are tough for us. They can make copies when it's tough for us to get paper or a copy machine or a printer. They can bring in little prizes for rewards. Or if I get pulled out in the midst of a school crisis, then they can continue with the group. On the flip side, we also hear agency partners talking about the benefit of having a school-based partner because they can be really good at figuring out the space issue or working with the student schedules and even assisting in pulling or summoning students and knowing who to talk to get a question answered as they come up sort of in vivo. So something about this partnership really can sometimes help surmount some of these inherent challenges in providing mental health services in schools. And also there really is this joint resource and expertise. Other keys that we found, keys to success, so to speak, one is professional network seems to be something really meaningful. And that is, in the study that we did, actually, we found that all of the clinicians who were able to implement successfully after a training on the program, they all knew someone else who was implementing. And among those who didn't implement, none of them knew anybody who was implementing. So I think it's both in terms of this perceived buy-in from their peers and from the organization, and also that you have that support from someone else who's implementing at the same time. So something to think about. Is there a way, as people are implementing, for them to be talking to each other and getting support from one another? Funding, I won't go over this too much because I know that you all do have specific grant funding, but it is important to say that funding may be a necessary but not a sufficient factor. So funding alone is not going to lead to implementation success. So it is important to think through all of these things. And one thing we hear a lot is, it's not just a one-shot deal, this idea of getting buy-in and maintaining relationships with schools. It does take some time, and I think overall getting to know your school and the culture of that school's milieu, and then being very respectful of that and being a part of that. Also, sometimes, schools have a variety of other needs, and they now see you as an expert. It can be very helpful to then start meeting other needs that they ask, to say, we have some bullying going on. Can you come and talk to our teachers about how to manage bullying? Or we had a recent suicide in the district. Could you come talk to parents about how to speak with their students about suicide? So trying to meet their needs as well, then they're going to continue to be more open to the programs that you're providing. And just remembering to spend time with various levels of the school staff as you start to become sort of part of the school and seen as someone there. And the other thing, and I think we're getting to the end here, is just most clinicians find some type of ongoing consultation, no matter what the program is, to be very helpful. And many times they prefer group consultation meetings, again, to be able to talk with other people who are implementing at the same time, to share these lessons learned, to share ideas, to talk about what's coming up, to share solutions. So that's something in your planning that I would really encourage you to incorporate. And finally, I do want to bring up this issue of self-care. Really, we're talking about both for the educators as well as for the clinicians. And there is, there's direct exposure to trauma that educators are encountering, and also secondary traumatic stress as they are working with a number of students who have been exposed to violence. And so recognizing that, normalizing that, and providing some concrete way of continuing to check in with them about ways to support them. And so also with clinicians, as we're talking about ongoing consultation, it may be that a thread of that is to also figure out how to make sure your clinicians are practicing self-care or encouraging ways of doing that via the consultation. And also, of course, knowing when to seek support, especially when we're working with a lot of traumatized youth and children exposed to violence. It is important that we are doing everything we can to take care of ourselves so that we can then best extend ourselves to those students. And the last slide here just offers a couple of links, and there certainly are many more. The National Child Traumatic Stress Network has a number of different things, a whole host of topics, so I would encourage you to go there. The RAND toolkit is on here that I referred to earlier that lists a number of different practices and evidence-based practices. And also, on the NCTSN, our school committee developed the Child Trauma Toolkit for educators. This is really fantastic for gaining some of that buy-in. There are also a number of other resources. We have a DVD called Students in Trauma. Again, I think there are some violence-specific DVDs. Any short tool that you have to really help educators understand the impact, I think, is going to help with all of those venues. So I'll leave it at that and open it up to questions, and just thank you all for listening.